Good evening and welcome to Information Please, your Peoria Public Library on the air, and bring you information about your library and your community. And this evening my guest is Laura Spradlin, who is one of our librarians that knows a lot about teen books right now. So I've asked her to come on and talk about the latest and greatest in that area of reading. Hi, Laura.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming away from the behind the desk and all your books, and you've got some great recommendations going here for us. And so this is exciting because I don't think we've been able to talk about teen books in a while.
And I love talking about teen books because there's a great variety in young adult fiction. There's a little bit of everything, and I think we've got that here.
Well, there's
today.
so many adults, me included, that also read YA fiction, and all the books like Harry Potter, Twilight, the Divergent series. Those are very popular with adults too.
Exactly,
so.
And I think adults are going to like these too.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Well, let's take a look at some of what you've brought us here.
Great.
Here's a couple.
The first, I had to start with the vampire book.
Of course.
This is The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black. And teens might recognize the name Holly Black from a juvenile series she did, The Spiderwick Chronicles. It was a hugely popular series for kids that she did. She's done some other young adult books. She edited an anthology called Zombies vs. Unicorns.
All right.
Right up young adults' alleys, too. But this one is about a girl named Tana who lives in a town where vampire attacks are common.
And nobody thinks anything about it.
Exactly. So, in fact, they've been so prevalent over the last decade that the vampires are quarantined to these areas called cold towns in the town. So Tana goes to a party one night, a perfectly run-of-the-mill, ordinary party, but she wakes up the next morning and is surrounded by a sea of corpses.
Oh, no.
Which is not so ordinary. And the only ones left with her are a mysterious boy and her ex-boyfriend, who's just been infected and is on the edge of turning into a vampire. So Tana's got this dilemma. The only way that she can save them and make everything right is to go into one of these cold towns. Now, the catch is, once you go into a cold town, you never come out. So she's got a little bit of a dilemma on her hands here in this book. And this is great. It's not just another vampire book. Teens might be getting tired of the paranormal romance, but this is a little out of the ordinary. It's really unique, really different, and really exciting.
You do a little bit of a different storyline.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so, great. That's exciting. Okay.
Next we have Love in the Time of Global Warming, which I love the title.
Yeah,
play
of course,
on Love in the Time of Cholera.
Cholera, yes.
Exactly. And this is by Francesca Lia Block, who teens might know that name too. She's written some really great books like Weetzie Bat. And if any teens have read her books before, they know she's very dreamy, sort of fantastical, does a great job of blending reality and magic. And she does the same thing in this one. There's a girl named Penelope who lives in Los Angeles, but Los Angeles has just been wiped out by a flood completely.
Los Angeles is always getting it.
It's always, I know. It's always, getting out of the way. Well, along with Los Angeles, Penelope's family, her dog, everything she has is gone.
No.
So she hasn't given up yet, though. She's determined to go and find them. And along the way, she finds these other 3 determined survivors who are desperate to find their loved ones, too. So they set off on a really sort of interesting adventure quest. There's some nods to the Odyssey in this and Wizard of Oz a little bit. Along their way, they meet some sort of magical creatures. There's romance. There's enemies they encounter along the way. So teens who love this sort of dreamy Francesca Lia Block atmosphere and different takes on the quest story will really enjoy this one.
Okay, that sounds like fun. Yeah.
So
okay, let's get our next ones here.
Coming up next, this is part of a series. Young adult series are really popular right now. And this, The Bitter Kingdom by Ray Carson, is the 3rd in a trilogy. So we first met, it's the Girl of Fire and Thorns trilogy is what it is. At the beginning of the series, we met Elisa, who had just been married off to a king, and she discovered that she's the chosen one. She's a little bit of a disappointment to her kingdom. She's never really done anything extraordinary. Her sisters are kind of ordinary, but along the way through the series, that, of course, changes. So now we get to this last and final book in the series, and she's a fugitive in her own country. The throne is gone. Her loved one is gone. Hector is the boy that she loves. And so now she's on a quest to save him and save her entire land from these not quite so human creatures.
Okay.
But what I really like about this book is she really relies on her smarts, her intelligence, in order to save the day. So it's a bit epic fantasy, it's a bit historical fiction.
Okay.
So teens who haven't started the series will definitely want to go and start to get to this one. Start to book one, yeah.
Okay, okay. And is this set in an actual place, or is it an imaginary world?
It's an imaginary world, which is another thing that I think teens will really like. She does a great job of world building, putting you in this world that's completely different from our own, but it makes you feel like you've been there the whole time.
Okay.
It's really great.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that like particularly the games and things that you build a world, and the same thing in literature too, that you can be in this place you've never been to before and think of new things.
And one of the most popular sort of new worlds right now is the Game of Thrones series. And I think that teen fans of the Game of Thrones series will really be interested in this series too.
Okay, some more of what they'd like. And then we've got The Lord of Opium.
The Lord of Opium by Nancy Farmer. In 2002, 11 years ago, Nancy Farmer wrote The House of Scorpion, which was a huge success. It was a National Book Award winner, Prince Honor Book, Newbery Honor Book, really popular. 11 years later, we finally have the sequel. And I think it's worth the wait, though.
Okay.
We met Matt in book 1, and I won't say too much about the first book, but now Matt he's the Lord of Opium. He's the ruler of this country, this land called Opium. He's only 14 years old. So he gets to Opium, and the rest of the world outside of his land is devastated. The ecological system is just destroyed. And everyone is scrambling to get to Opium to get the resources they need to save the rest of the world. Well, meanwhile, Opium isn't doing so great either. There's zombies who are ruling the drug trade business. Matt's trying to stop the drug trade business, but he's starting to doubt himself. And he's getting in trouble with a lot of his enemies that come up from book 1 and the second book. So teens were probably a little too young when The House of Scorpion first came out, so this is a great chance for them to grab that one first and then finish up Matt's Tale.
Yeah. Or even as we're looking ahead to the holiday season for parents, buy both books, or if that's the kind of thing you like to do. Or, I'm not sure if we have them in our ebook collection, but we might. It's
always worth a look.
Always worth checking, and if we don't have it now, we could have it in a while. So if you're buying an e-reader, iPad, that kind of thing, that might be something to look forward to. And that's sometimes what's so great about going to the library and talking to a librarian is the bookstore is only probably going to have the later book. Whereas the library will have both, and the librarians, our staff there, will be able to tell you, oh, there was a book that came before this that you'll want to read first, and then find it for them. And of course, you always have the problem, a new book comes out, and are there enough copies of the older one? And if we see too big a wait list, then we go and order it, so we have more in, since it's a book that was out 11 years ago.
Right. It's a great chance, though, to revisit some things you don't know. And I know our librarians are also happy to recommend other things too. If these books are checked out, well, we get to know what your interests are, what you like to read. We know you're interested in these types of books, this fantasy world. So it's a great chance to talk to a librarian and get some good recommendations.
And I'm interested in the fact that the zombies are smart enough to run the drug trade, because I always thought they just stumbled around doing nothing.
They've turned into zombies. Yeah, they're a little bit different. And this is another world building sort of atmosphere. There's a lot of great details. It's set in Mexico, I believe, but it's sort of alternate Mexico. Things are a little bit different. And so Nancy Farmer also does a really great job of putting in those specific details that make you feel like you're there.
Yeah, it's kind of like very few vampires are actual vampires that attack people anymore.
Right, exactly.
They're all vegetarians, or they're all only animal blood.
Right, yeah.
So I guess you could rewrite the worlds of these creatures anytime you can imagine it.
Exactly, exactly.
And here we have more.
So now we get a little, Are You Experienced, I wouldn't say is totally normal, realistic fiction. This is a time travel book. It's a little bit historical fiction and a little bit time travel.
So you have to do with Jimi Hendrix?
It does have to do with Jimi Hendrix. It absolutely does.
Okay.
Rich is about 15 years old, and he loves playing his guitar, and his girlfriend convinces him to play at a protest rally.
Okay.
Rich has been extremely overprotected his whole life. His dad is very cautious, very overprotective, and so his father is very unpleased when Rich gets arrested at this protest rally.
Yes.
It also happens to fall on the day of Rich's uncle's death from drug overdose. So things are a little tense in Rich's household with him and his father, but Rich goes into his dad's office and finds a hidden Jimi Hendrix guitar, a signed guitar that he used at Woodstock. So, thanks to some time travel, Rich gets transported back to the 1969 Woodstock, where he runs into his teenage father and his teenage uncle. He keeps it a secret that, you know, it'd be a kind of a crazy thing to say, you're my dad, but he really learns a lot about why his father is the way he is, learns a lot of great details about that time period and what exactly was going on that Rich maybe didn't know about beforehand.
Yeah, that may be a book that people my age would enjoy too.
Right, yes, exactly. And I think if teens don't know much about Woodstock, or if they've heard the name Jimi Hendrix but don't know much about him, it's a really great, there's great tie-ins to nonfiction books too. They can learn more about the time period too.
It's startling to think that people might not know who Jimi Hendrix is.
Yeah,
but
it's true. It's true.
I've heard that there's children who don't know who the Beatles are. So
well, that's
there you go.
Yeah. Thanks to YouTube and everything now, it's so easy to find information out. So we'll just send those kids to YouTube.
Yeah, to see all that stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, and you were going to talk, I think, about one we did not have a digital image of, but you have this one.
This
Second Impact.
This one's interesting because it's written in a blog format.
Okay.
There's blogs and emails between the two main characters, which I think is great because that's how teens communicate now, and that's how the world communicates now. So we're all very used to seeing emails and different blog posts. So there's a high school quarterback, star quarterback named Jerry, and he's just starting to get back in the spotlight because a year ago he had a terrible car accident. He was drunk driving and almost killed one of his classmates. So it's taken him a while to regain the trust of the student body. And Carla, who's an editor of the school newspaper, recruits him to blog about his football season. Carla's really interested in sports medicine and journalism. So they sort of you get both of their voices. They go back and forth. During the football season, another player gets seriously injured. He has a sports-related concussion. And that's been in the news recently, different stories about that. Yep, exactly. So there's a bit of controversy in this school and this town about this sports-related injury, this concussion. So I think it's a really great conversation starter. There's great ties into the news. And I think it's really accessible for girls and boys because you get both of those voices throughout the book.
Okay, and so that also might be a good one for book club or class discussion.
Exactly.
To think about those issues.
David Klass wrote this book with the help of his sister, who is a pediatrician and a medical writer.
All right.
So you get some really great details in there too, which is also another great discussion for a book club. How do you get these really authentic details in there? What goes into the research process? Could be really interesting.
That is neat. Okay. That sounds great.
Oops.
Okay. All right. And then...
This is another...
Whoops.
I'm sorry.
I will put that back because we didn't get to talk about that one yet.
And this one's part of a series, so I know teens will be looking for this one. This is Crown of Midnight. It's a Thorn of Glass novel. And in the first book we were introduced to... I'm going to butcher her name, Selena, we'll say. Selena, it's a pretty name. She had been spending a year in the salt mines doing hard labor as a punishment for her gig as an assassin. So in exchange for her freedom, a prince says, if you pretend to be the champion of this royal assassin competition, I'll give you your freedom. So she agrees to it in the first book. We meet up with her in the second book, and she's the royal assassin to the king. She's having a bit of a struggle because her values don't really align with what the king is having her doing. So it's either her freedom or going against what she believes in. The first name on her hit list, so to say, is actually an old childhood friend. So she's really conflicted. We get some mystery. There's, of course, some romance, some betrayal as you kind of see her struggle to see where her loyalties lie, Does she trust the royal family? It's got a lot of great reviews, and fans of the Kristen Cashor's Graceling, which is a really popular series, the Seven Kingdoms series, I think will really grab onto this series as well.
Okay, that sounds great. And it's out. It says it went on sale in August, so it is available.
New.
Okay, now let's go back to these other ones we were going to talk about. There we go.
This one, Into That Forest, I think is my favorite one of the list so far.
Okay.
It's by an Australian author, and it's about the narrator is an older woman. She's about 80 years old, and she's telling the story of her childhood. Her name's Hannah. When she was 6, she was with her friend Becky and Hannah's parents on a river in Tanzania, enjoying a picnic. A flash flood comes along, another flood we have, and Hannah's parents die.
Aww.
Hannah and Becky are rescued by a tiger, of all things. So this tiger takes them back to her den, and Hannah and Becky actually start to become part of their family. They communicate with the animals, they hunt, they're just part of the pack.
Part of the pack.
Exactly. It sounds a little far out there, but the reviews have been great so far, and it's really believable is what critics are saying.
Okay.
And what happens is 4 years after these girls have been living with the tigers, Becky, the other girl's parents, come and find them.
Okay.
But now Hannah and Becky are part of this family of tigers. They don't want to leave. So it's, like I said, it sounds a little out there, but very heartbreaking, very touching, and also very exciting. So I like that one because it's a little bit out of the ordinary from what we're used to.
Sounds a great deal like the Tarzan series to
me. Yeah.
Child in the wilderness, adopted by apes and not wanting to leave the jungle.
Exactly.
Classic science fiction.
Yeah, I think it'll be really great for teens.
Okay.
Yeah. This next one is a bit of a heavy topic. Ultimately, I think it's very hopeful, though. Forgive Me, Leonard Peacock by Matthew Quick, which Matthew Quick has been well known lately because his other book, Silver Linings Playbook, was made into a really successful movie last year. So that, I'm sure, captured teens' interests. He's also got some other young adult books. Boy 21 is a really popular book by him. So now, this is strictly young adult, and it's about an 18-year-old who, on his 18th birthday, has a murder-suicide plan. His plan is to shoot his best friend and then kill himself. When they were younger, he and his best friend, Leonard and his best friend, had sort of a falling out. And since then, Leonard hasn't really had anyone to confide in, no one to talk to. So he's struggling. On the day that he has this plan, he has 4 parting gifts for people that he needs to say goodbye to. One of them is a teacher who sort of picks up on something's not right, something's going on.
Something's really wrong.
And gives him the listening ear that he needs and lets him confide in him. So it's a really, again, heavy topic, a really sensitive topic, I'm sure, for some people, but it ultimately speaks to the power of compassion and communication. And I think fans of John Green, who's a really popular young adult author, or Fat Kid Rules the World, I think are going to like this book a lot.
That's good. Well, and also, such an intense topic with, that seems like we continue with the mass shootings with topics of depression and mental illness. And how, how do you solve your problems? And so, yeah, very timely. And
it's a good way to enter in those conversations, for sure. Start with this book, have a book club.
Have a book club, or even just individual people reading it and thinking about it and recommending it to a friend. What do we do?
Exactly.
What do we do?
I agree.
The Navy Yard shooting, as information has come out about that. Once again, a person who, had some issues, and everybody thought it was okay and wasn't.
Right, the importance of having people around you.
Yeah, it's great we have these YA authors that can address these very heavy topics.
Exactly, I agree. Well, the next one we have isn't quite so heavy, but this one's really interesting. It's called To Be Perfectly Honest by Sonia Sones, and it's written in verse. So it's a novel with one story, but each kind of page is a poem.
Wow.
Sonia Sones did this with another book she wrote. So teens who like that, or teens who like romance, Phyllis Reynolds Naylor, Lurleen McDaniel, are going to like this. It's about a girl, teenager named Colette, who's a pathological liar. She thinks it's the only way she can have fun, is what she thinks. She's also living under the shadow of her mother, who's a famous actress.
Okay.
So they go on location to a small, nothing going on town, and of course Colette is not pleased about it at all. She's there with her 7-year-old brother, and the only interesting thing that happens in this town is a farmer's market. One day at the farmer's market, Colette bumps into Connor, who's a motorcycle riding dreamboat, and things pick up for her a little bit. There's definitely some chemistry between Connor and Colette, but with Colette being a huge liar, she runs the risk of making some trouble for the two of them.
Yeah, causing a problem.
Yeah. Then turns out Connor might have some secrets too, so teens will want to pick that up. It's great for reluctant readers who may not be willing to go through a whole book. It's a really fast read, so it's great for reluctant readers.
And the idea of it being written in verse is interesting too.
Exactly. Also a way to get teens interested in poetry.
Yeah, I'm astonished that anybody could write an entire novel in verse.
I agree. It's worth picking up just to see how she does it.
Yeah, well, and some of our old, classic poets, of course, wrote poems that were an entire book, but what an effort.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and you've got another one here?
This one is another time travel. This is All Our Yesterdays, and teens who are sad that the Hunger Games series is over or who are waiting for the Divergent series to finish up are going to love this. This is the first book in a series by Kristen Terrell, and there's a girl named M who one day she wakes up in a prison. All she hears next to her are the screams, cries of the boy next door, and a list of instructions that she finds.
Wow.
Well, M has been trying to stop this time machine from being created because the time machine is going to destroy the world. Every time she tries to stop it, she gets sent back in time, put in prison again, and it's just a continuous cycle. Okay. We also have Marina in this book, who's trying to stop her love, or the boy that she loves, from being assassinated. Over the course of some events, Em and Marina are racing against the clock, and only one of them can turn out to be the winner. So it's really unique. It's sometimes time travel, I think, has the tendency to be confusing, or you can't quite follow what's going on. But this is really accessible and really fast-paced. And again, it's a series that you can latch on to and wait for the next ones.
Okay. This is the first one?
This is the first one.
Okay, so read it now, and then you'll be ready for the next one. And hope it's not 11 years.
Hopefully it will be a little sooner than that, fans will demand it.
Yes, and I think that hopefully that this is an author that will get things written in a timely manner while kids are still teens.
Right, exactly. This is the first book that she's written too, and fans are already saying, this is my favorite, I want more. So hopefully she'll keep that in mind as she's working on the rest of the series, that we're anxious for it.
Great. That sounds wonderful. Well, in addition to all of our books, we have a few minutes left, so let's talk some about our new area we have on our webpage, which is peoriapubliclibrary.org. But you and some other folks are building a teen area. What's going to be in that area?
We're hoping it's going to be a hub for teens to come, a place where they can find information about getting ready for college, what to do, financial aid, how to pick a college, how to choose a career, how to prepare for that. We think it's going to be a great place for if you need some homework help, if you want to be pointed to some great databases that the Peoria Public Library has for doing homework, or some other links on the internet that are fun but educational, will help you get that project done. Some resources will be on there for that. If you're bored, if you're tired of Facebook and you want something interesting to do on the internet, we're going to have a collection of resources for that too. And I think my favorite part about the site is we're going to have book lists on there, so teens never run out of things to read.
We have something else to look for.
Exactly. We have some really great topics. There's dystopias, which teens like, zombies, which are popular. I think my favorite one that's in the works right now is called it's Bizarre Island Living, because it always seems like strange things happen on islands in young adult books, and we have the proof for that in this list of books.
Look at Australia, all those animals with pouches that don't exist anymore.
Exactly.
Sorry, I just had to throw that in there.
Well, you never know. That's probably the topic of one of these books. So it'll be a really great hub for teens to go to.
Okay.
We're also going to highlight some teen events upcoming at the Peoria Public Library.
Okay.
And October is a really cool month because Teen Read Week is in that month, which we're really excited about. Yeah. There's going to be a scavenger hunt at each branch of the library. There's also going to be a Teens versus Librarians trivia nights. The teens are going to see if they can take us on in a trivia match, and we'll see who's triumphant in the end. And it's a great way to come in. The theme of Teen Read Week is Seek the Unknown, which could be, I think, interpreted in a lot of different ways. So teens can come in and see what's unknown, and they can go to the website to see what's going on and to see new information.
Find it real easily. Yeah, the scavenger hunt I know about because our department got involved, but there's book covers hidden everywhere, and you have to find the book cover and talk about it, and that's at all of our locations. So that's going to be a lot of fun to do if you're in the library, which we do see a lot of teens coming in right after school. I think that that's kind of a time when you can come in, and whether you're using the Wi-Fi or just a place to go with your friends.
Exactly.
It is a safe place, but a place that's full of anything you can think of.
Right. I remember when I was a teen, I loved coming into the library because I didn't have to spend any money.
Yeah.
There's always things to look at. I can come with my friends. You can really make it feel like your own, I think.
And we have so many places to sit and talk now that didn't before. You know, all of them have a lounge area, a place you can chit-chat. So.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on. It was great having you. And I know people enjoy hearing about what we have for teens who are sometimes hard to reach.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
If you want to find out more about what's going on for teens, you can go to peoriapubliclibrary.org and look underneath the listing on the top of Using the Library, find Young People, and you will find a listing for teens there that you can click on and get to the things that are going to appear very soon. You can just go to our calendar and look and see what all the events for teens are, or you can just ask any librarian. We'll see you next week on Information Please.